Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about some of the properties of real numbers. Now hopefully from previous classes these are some ideas that you're already familiar with, but just in case we need to go over them, so we're going to be talking about them and giving some examples. Sometimes the best way to identify these is with an example. So let's look at the first one here. Our first property of real numbers is the distributive property. And if you'll remember, with the distributive property, we are actually distributing, or we're doing a multiplication to more than one item. So for example, a good demonstration of this property would be if I were to have something like 12 times m plus n. Well, according to the distribution property, I would have to multiply 12 times the m and also 12 times the n. So the property would give me 12m plus 12n. So hopefully that's familiar to everybody. Now the next four properties have to do with the associative property and the commutative property. And these are sometimes ones that we get really confused about. So the way I remember it is the associative property, we are reassociating items. The commutative property, think about the very first part of the word, like commute, like to go back and forth. And I think of like going back and forth to work. You commute from home to work and then from work to home. So it is exactly backwards. You can think of it that way. Let's look at a couple of examples. Now we have the associative and commutative properties for both addition and then for multiplication. So if I were going to, let's say, add three things, 3 plus 6 plus 5. Would it be the exact same thing if I added the 3 and the 6 first and then added the 5? Or if I were to add the 6 and the 5 first and then the 3, I would get the exact same thing. Now notice these are in the exact same order. The order hasn't changed. We've just reassociated what we're doing first. Here we would do the 3 plus 6, which would be 9, plus 5 would be 14. Now over here, the parentheses around the 6 and the 5 tell us that we have to do that first. So 6 plus 5 would be 11, plus 3 would be, again, 14. So we get the exact same thing. Now the commutative property, remember, think that word commute. If I were to add 3 plus 8, would that be the exact same thing as adding 8 plus 3? Yes, it would. 3 plus 8 is, what, 11? And 8 plus 3 is 11. So those are the exact same thing. It's like home to work, work to home. These are the order has changed. The actual order has changed. Now, we have those associative and commutative properties for both addition and multiplication. And they are very, very similar. It's just you're just doing different properties. Or different operations, I should say. For the associative property of multiplication, I might have an example that looks like this. I could multiply 7 times 9 times 5 and 7 times 9 times 5. It would not make any difference whether I multiplied the 7 and the 9 first, or if I were to multiply the 9 and the 5 first. I would get the exact same thing on both sides no matter what. Now for the commutative property, remember, think of that word commute, back and forth. So would 12 times 3 be the exact same thing as 3 times 12? Yes, it is. So those are just our first few properties. We'll do some more in another video.